Now, it's safe to say that Bungie might have almost created the best auto rifle to ever exist with Horror Story if they didn't make this a stasis damage weapon. Now, this video is focusing on the Horror Story auto rifle from Festival of Lost in PvE. We'll not mention anything from PvP, so I know this weapon has potential in PvP. That's not the main purpose of this video. I want to talk about this weapon in PvE because the perk selection here is incredible, but man, adding the stasis damage slot is kind of a nerf that I really hope Bungie fixes and addresses soon. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, we'll get into it pretty soon. Now, this Horror Story has seen refreshes over the years, and I should expect another refresh next year if this is still in the pool. In itself, this was kinetic, now made stasis, and we got some interesting little additions to the perk pool like collective action that really make this weapon highly viable if buffs come to stasis. But if this was Strand, my god, I feel like Bungie would have created the best legendary Strand auto rifle in the game with collective action, with unraveling rounds. There was a ton of potential here, but it is what it is, and let's talk about everything with Horror Story in PvE. Now, for one, if you guys are curious how to get this weapon, pretty simple. If you guys play the Festival of the Lost activities, specifically the Haunted Lost sectors, this has a chance to drop as a reward. You will be getting a ton of these, or a ton of Festival of the Lost weapons in general, so don't really stress over it. Really, just gotta, hope for RNG to do your little guardian self some justice and give you exactly what you want, because this does have a lot of potential, and I do want to see Bungie buff stasis. Now, let's talk about this stasis issue I have. So, back in the day when it came to before Lightfall, there was a little issue with stasis and kinetic weapons. Now, stasis weapons were miles better than kinetic weapons, and the reason why is that they had some of the same benefits as kinetic weapons to unshielded enemies, but also had the traits of synergy with stasis, and some of that was eliminated entirely, so it doesn't have the higher damage increase when compared to kinetic. It actually suffers less damage than kinetic itself, and then on top of that, it has no subclass benefits like unraveling rounds with Strand. So when it comes to the options given in this slot for primary kinetics, yeah, this weapon definitely falls flat because it doesn't have much use to it. So a buff that I would like to see is bring up the damage up to the kinetic level. Not saying exactly that level, but around that level, because unless you're adding some more stuff like freezing or some other components to stasis and stasis weapons, I don't see how this weapon can really compete with Strand and unraveling rounds. But hey, leave it up to Bungie. Hopefully they come with a good solution to make stasis weapon primaries better. But with that being said, let's jump into all the perks and show you guys what this weapon has to offer, and then jump into the God roll. Now, we'll be reading this from right to left and labeling it so you can follow. Now, all the way to the right, origin traits, we have the Festival of Lost origin trait, Search Party. You won't see too much crazy benefits. It is nice, but nothing substantial that'll be game breaking in the PvE Sandbox with both of these. Now, for Search Party, this weapon is granted faster aim down sight speeds and movement speed while aiming down sight speed when no allies are near. So again, this is a nice subtle little buff, but yeah, I don't know how viable and how useful this will be in PvE. Now, same with Nadir Focus, sustained fire increases accuracy and range for this weapon. The other benefits are for swords and launchers. So yeah, this is also a nice subtle buff, but again, I don't know how juicy it will be compared to other PvE origin traits. Now, over in column 4, we have Headstone, Collective Action, Target Lock, Cascade Point, Frenzy, Vorpal Weapon, and Adrenaline Junkie. Over in column 3, we have Elemental Capacitor, Dynamic Sway Reduction, Discord, Enlightened Action, Under Over, Envious Assassin, and Demolitionist. Over in column 2 for magazines, we have Accurized Rounds, Appended Mag, Tactile Mag, Extended Mag, Steady Rounds, Alloy Magazine, and Flared Magwell. And for barrel guys, really, like always, it's what you prefer, whether you want more recoil control, more range, more handling, whatever your preference is, really go for what you are seeking with those stat bonuses. And like I mentioned before, I don't think I mentioned, this is a precision frame, so it is a 450 auto rifle. Now, let's talk about the PvE God roll, because man, this had the potential of being insane, but with it being stasis, this is ideally what you want. Now, there are going to be two different versions. So the first one to the left is the version I'm actually going for because I am in love with collective action. But on the other side, right, we have a more standard role that is pretty damn good as well if you guys don't want to get the benefits of subclass synergy with stasis and stasis. So over on the left for the first god roll, we have Arrowhead Break, Tactile Mag, Enlightened Action, and collective action. And if you guys can, a reload speed masterwork would probably be ideal here, since we want to make sure we reload faster. And if you guys want a range masterwork or stability masterwork, but we had arrowhead break, so stability really isn't an issue here. Now over on the left, we're really much going for the same thing, except we're swapping collective action for Frenzy. Frenzy is a little bit more consistent. This isn't a buff that is required to have some sort of synergy. Now, when it comes to collective action, you need to have elemental pickups and interact with that. So when you interact with fire splites, void breaches, stasis shards, ionic traces, and strand tangles, you get a 20% increase for 7 seconds. And this is why I love collective action, especially in this season. Now, with elemental pickups, it can vary, but with stasis, especially as a Titan stasis player, collective action and stasis will be insane here. And getting a 20% damage increase for 7 seconds on the dot, and probably I'll be consistently refreshing this buff for up to 12 seconds. Yeah, there's a lot to love here. But if players don't want to do that, Frenzy offers a 15% increased damage for 7 seconds, as well as bonuses to handling and reload speed for that duration. Now, it does require you to be in combat, but again, this is a little bit more flexible with other subclasses if you guys are not looking for some subclass synergy while using stasis. But altogether, guys, this weapon, man, if it was Strand, it would probably be the most insane weapon ever, because enlightened action, Praetor Frenzy, or hatchlings, whatever other damage perk you want in that 4th slot. But yeah, I don't know, man. I want to see a buff to stasis damage, because this weapon can truly become incredible, as well as some stasis buffs and seasonal mod incorporations. But yeah, this weapon certainly is one of the weapons you must farm in this event, because stuff like this doesn't come easy, and a weapon like this potentially becoming meta or ultra meta in a PvE sandbox, if stasis gets some love again, is something you should not pass up. But yeah, leave your thoughts on this weapon in PvE. Do you guys feel the same sentiment I do with stasis damage weapons? I know I can be a little bit picky or a little bit elitist, so totally respect those complaints or pessimisms that people have towards me with that statement. But hey, just how I'm feeling. But leave your thoughts down below. If you guys also enjoyed this video, be sure to drop this video a like, helps out the video a ton. And for more content from me, whether it's Destiny 2 or any other game I cover on the channel, you guys are new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell to be notified when I do drop more content. But until then, that's all I got for this one. Shannon G here, and I'm out.